All right. Welcome back to the bright side. We're talking zinc. We're talking prostaglandins. We're talking signaling molecules. We're talking just good nutrition in general, how to stay healthy using nutritional supplements. Specifically, we're talking about carbon monoxide. The last we spoke, we talked about carbon monoxide and carbon monoxide poisoning. Carbon monoxide actually, as it turns out, is a signaling molecule. Carbon monoxide, even though most of us know it as a toxin, is a sort of kind of like prostaglandins. Carbon monoxide, nitric oxide, and another very interesting type of gas are called EGMs. I'm not even going to tell you what that stands for. It's pretty, well, endogenous gaseous mediators is what they call them. EGMs can be thought of as kind of hormones. They're vapors and gases. They have fast-acting hormone-like properties. They cover large amounts of cellular territory. Instead of just working one cell at a time like what other hormones do, these gaseous hormones can cover lots of cells in one fell swoop. And this makes them ideal molecules, signaling molecules, for emergencies when a rapid response is required. These EGMs, these endogenous, meaning inside, gas mediators, these chemicals that signal or signaling molecules, they're like doorbell switches. They hit the doorbell on our 3D printing machines, just like other hormones do, except in a gas format. There's 3 of them. Nitric oxide is the most famous one. We're going to talk a lot about nitric oxide here in a little bit. There's all kinds of commercials on the radio and on television for supplements that are supposed to support nitric oxide. That's because nitric oxide, like carbon monoxide, is involved in how blood vessels open. Blood vessels opening is mediated or controlled by these gaseous mediators, especially carbon monoxide and nitric oxide. Most people realize that carbon monoxide is a gas, but hardly anybody knows that carbon monoxide is a hormone. Carbon monoxide is a signaling molecule. Now, certainly carbon monoxide toxicity is a big problem. It's what composes air pollution. It's what most of us think about when we think of carbon monoxide, an odorless gas. And carbon monoxide is actually a leading cause of accidental poisonings. According to the American Medical Association, nearly 2,000 people a year are killed and 100,000 people sent to the hospital from unvented gas heaters and kerosene heaters and leaky furnaces and chimneys and water heaters and wood stoves and fireplaces and automobile exhaust from attached garages. Carbon monoxide poisoning is typically associated with various non-specific types of symptoms: fatigue, nausea, discomfort, headache. There may be mental problems, dementia, forgetfulness, brain health issues. Movement disorders can be associated with low levels of chronic carbon monoxide poisoning, Parkinson's-like symptoms. Carbon monoxide ties up oxygen and affects how blood cells deliver oxygen to various organs, especially to the brain and to the nervous system. Carbon monoxide is one of the most important toxic compounds in secondhand smoke, in all tobacco smoke, but especially in secondhand smoke. And make no mistake about it, if you're breathing somebody else's cigarette smoke, you're being involuntarily poisoned. If you're breathing secondhand smoke, you're being involuntarily toxified and drugged. According to an article in the Central European Journal of Public Health from 2009, there is sufficient evidence suggesting that passive smokers are involuntarily poisoned by low carbon monoxide concentrations, unquote. American Lung Association says that secondhand smoke is responsible for nearly 50,000 deaths a year. That's incredible. 50,000 deaths a year from breathing other people's toxic waste, from breathing other people's toxic secondhand smoke. According to the American Lung Association, in addition to 50,000 people kicking the bucket every year from secondhand smoke, a wide range of health issues, including lung cancer, including asthma, including other respiratory illnesses like emphysema, are associated with breathing in secondhand smoke. Yesterday, an article appeared in the Journal of Environmental Health Perspectives that talked about childhood obesity being linked to secondhand smoke. This is very interesting. Why would childhood obesity be linked to secondhand smoke? Well, under conditions of carbon monoxide poisoning, the kind of carbon monoxide poisoning that you get at low levels from secondhand smoke, the body's stress response is going to kick in. Cortisol levels, stress hormone will be secreted, the adrenal glands are going to respond, the body's going to respond to secondhand smoke like it's an emergency, which it is. And under conditions of emergency, under conditions of stress hormone activation, under conditions of adrenal activation, adrenal gland activation, it's going to be very difficult to lose weight. This is so important. If you're having a problem losing weight, if you feel like you're doing everything you need to do to lose weight, if you're supplementing and restricting your calories and exercising, but the pounds just aren't coming off, or they're not coming off as fast as you think they should be, chances are really good that your body is dealing with some kind of stressor. It could be an emotional stressor, it could be a mental stressor, or it could be a physiologic stressor like secondhand smoke. And according to this article anyway, childhood obesity is linked to secondhand smoke toxicity. And of course, that doesn't include all the carbon monoxide. That's bad. Obviously, that's bad stuff. But there's hundreds of deadly, carcinogenic, toxic compounds in cigarette smoke: nicotine and pesticides and heavy metals, cadmium, benzene, arsenic, ammonia, cyanide. This is all in secondhand smoke. So even if you're walking down the street breathing somebody else's smoke as they're walking in front of you, you're getting all this crap, you guys. And smokers, please be considerate. You know, I mean, obviously I'm not big on cigarette smoking, but whatever anybody wants to do, that's fine. I don't think it should be, you know, people shouldn't be ripped for doing whatever they want to do, but don't make other people breathe that toxic, nasty stuff. If you're in a smoky environment, a restaurant, a bar, a club, it turns out that there's a wonderful nutritional supplement that you can use to detoxify some of the toxins and poisons in secondhand smoke, including the carbon monoxide. We'll talk about that when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back right after this. All right, so we're talking about carbon monoxide. Most people recognize that carbon monoxide is a toxic gas, but most people probably don't know that carbon monoxide is actually a hormone, albeit in small amounts. It's very, very active as a vasodilator. It helps open up blood vessels. It's involved in circulatory system health. It's even got anti-inflammatory and protective properties. In fact, there's some people believe that carbon monoxide may be the next big thing in therapeutic medicine, in emergency therapeutic medicine. That having been said, carbon monoxide is obviously got some toxic stuff, toxic profile associated with it. If you're breathing secondhand smoke, if you're concerned about air pollution, if you're in a smoky environment, a restaurant or a bar, you can use vitamin C as a protective nutrient against some of the damage that can be caused by secondhand smoke for carbon monoxide poisoning. If you're subject to secondhand smoke, or if you simply want to protect your lungs from respiratory pollutants, air pollutants, such as carbon monoxide, you may want to make sure you're sipping on some extra Beyond Tangy Tangerine. And if you're a smoker, you absolutely positively want to be using the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, especially after every cigarette. In fact, not just vitamin C, but vitamin E is protective against cigarette smoke. NAC, or N-acetylcysteine, one of my all-time favorite nutritional supplements, not an essential nutrient, but a wonderful protective nutrient. That can also help protect your lungs against some of the toxicity associated with cigarette smoke. So after cigarettes is a great time to do some nutritional supplements. After you smoke cigarettes, it's a great time to do some Beyond Tangy Tangerine. If you're subject to cigarette smoke, if you're working in a smoky environment or hanging out in a smoky environment, then you absolutely positively want to make sure that you're using your Beyond Tangy Tangerine as well as vitamin E, 400 international units a day of vitamin E. Look for mixed tocopherols, mixed vitamin E. That's usually the best source of vitamin E. And N-acetylcysteine, NAC. And by the way, selenium, the ultimate selenium, works hand in hand with N-acetylcysteine in order to help beef up the body's detoxification system, the body's detoxification chemistry. Now, most of us know carbon monoxide is a toxin, but not that many folks know that it's a signaling molecule. Whenever there's some kind of injury, carbon monoxide is released into the area. It helps clot the blood. It helps prevent further damage from some of the toxic products of broken and damaged cells. In fact, carbon monoxide is literally released from damaged cells, especially damaged blood cells, after you have a wound or after you have an injury. That purple color that's associated with bruising is an indicator that carbon monoxide has been produced. The same reaction, the same chemical reaction that releases iron from damaged cells, damaged blood cells, is also involved in the production of carbon monoxide. So whenever you see purple bruising, you know you got some carbon monoxide activity, carbon monoxide being produced. Carbon monoxide is a sign that the emergency acute injury system is kicking in. And this makes carbon monoxide a potential candidate for emergency medicine. It's, after all, it's the body's own natural emergency medicine. And of course, carbon monoxide is ridiculously cheap to make. It's basically free, and it's being explored as a therapeutic treatment for helping people deal with shock or sepsis, which is a fancy way of saying dirty blood. It's being used to explored anyway, for treating heart disease, transplant rejection, lung injury, acute kidney injury, acute liver injury. You can upregulate your own carbon monoxide. You can at least support the production of carbon monoxide by using nutrition. Of particular importance when it comes to upregulating or making sure you got enough carbon monoxide present to help deal with acute injuries is one of the most important nutrients or nutritional components of foods is something called polyphenols. Now, most people haven't heard of polyphenols, but you probably have heard of flavonoids or bioflavonoids, some people call them. These bioflavonoids are part of a general family of chemicals called polyphenols. Poly means many, phenols is a type of chemical, and polyphenols are poised to become the next big thing in the world of nutrition. I guarantee you in the next year or a couple of years, you're going to start to hear more and more about these polyphenols. Actually, they're not really the next big thing because we've been using them for years, but only recently we've understood specifically how polyphenols work. The most important polyphenols are called flavonoids. Some people call them bioflavonoids. And these are some of the substances that are associated with vitamin C in natural foods. Spent a couple of days ago, we spent some time talking about how there are people out there saying vitamin C or ascorbic acid is not really vitamin C. And what they mean is that vitamin C that's found in food is associated with bioflavonoids. And when you take your ascorbic acid supplements by themselves, usually you don't get bioflavonoids with them. You usually don't take in flavonoids with them. That's not to say, as we said a couple of days ago, we spent some time talking about this, that ascorbic acid is not vitally important and very helpful. It is. Ascorbic acid is a very helpful nutritional supplement for a lot of reasons. But in nature, in foods, vitamin C contains ascorbic acid along with these polyphenols that they call bioflavonoids. And this is what makes vitamin C different from ascorbic acid. It has the flavonoids with it. Now again, ascorbic acid is still a valuable supplement, but in nature, ascorbic acid is associated with bioflavonoids. So what do? Well, make sure you're eating whole foods. Make sure you're eating fruits and vegetables, especially vegetables, easy on the fruit, of course, but especially vegetables, which are wonderful sources of bioflavonoids. One of the most important flavonoids is something called quercetin, Quercetin. It may be the most abundant of all the flavonoids, and it's got tremendous properties for the circulatory system, for the heart, for the immune system, for the liver. One particularly very, very effective flavonoid, by the way, that can help upregulate carbon monoxide, it's got anti-cancer properties, is something called curcumin. Curcumin is in the herb turmeric. Not a week goes by without some paper or some article or some study extolling the benefits of turmeric and curcumin. Its stuff is really, really amazing. Along with aloe, it's probably the most important of all the herbal medicines, I think. There's a lot of important herbal medicines, but turmeric is right up there. You're going to find some turmeric and curcumin in Youngevity's Cell Shield product. Another important nutrient that can help support carbon monoxide production is the amino acid taurine. Love taurine. Taurine is important for helping the body make bile. It's important for liver health. It's important for heart health. It's important for brain health. If you have seizure disorders, taurine has a nice calming effect. It has a nice electrical dampening effect on electrical energy in the brain. It's a stabilizing amino acid. If you have seizure disorders, you have a problem sleeping, anxiety. It's important for sugar metabolism, as I say. And it also supports carbon monoxide production. Taurine is a little bit tricky to find from foods, especially if you're a vegetarian. Taurus, the bull, gives its name to taurine because taurine is really an animal product or an animal amino acid. It's found especially high concentrations in organ meats and meats in general and in seafood. You can supplement with taurine. It's readily available for health food stores, and it's really cheap, 100 milligrams, 100 milligrams a day, 200 milligrams a day. It can help support carbon monoxide production. And really, if you're dealing with any kind of jitteriness or anxiety disorders or problems sleeping, you really or seizure disorders, you'd be really well advised to take a couple hundred milligrams of taurine every day. All right, we're coming back with your phone calls, and on our next Brightside episode, we'll continue talking about these EGMs. Got a really interesting one that I want to tell you about, super fascinating one. We'll tell you about that on our next Brightside episode. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back after this. All right. 877-300-7645 is our number. Yesterday there was an article that showed up on one of my favorite websites, medicalexpress.com. A researcher develops an injectable antidote for carbon monoxide poisoning. Turns out, until now, you had to use hyperbaric oxygen to actually heal yourself or get healed from acute carbon monoxide poisoning. But medical researcher named Joseph Rodriguez developed a vitamin B12 derivative that can be used to detoxify carbon monoxide poisoning. Well, you don't have to use a B12 derivative. You can use vitamin B12 just to beef up your liver and make sure that your detox system is operating like it should. Vitamin B12 deficiency is somewhat common. I love vitamin B12 injectables for folks who have movement disorders or Alzheimer's disease or Parkinson's disease, Bell's palsy. Vitamin B12 deficiencies can be associated with mental health issues too. And vitamin B12 deficiencies are somewhat common because the chemical that is responsible for the absorption of vitamin B12 from food, something called IF, or intrinsic factor, is made in the stomach. And unfortunately, as we get older, we don't make as much of this stuff. So as we get older, especially, vitamin B12 deficiencies become more and more common. If you know somebody who's in a nursing home or dealing with Alzheimer's, dementias, or any kind of age-associated brain health issues, vitamin B12 injectable IM, intramuscular injections, can be amazingly beneficial. Okay, now we got some calls here, 877-300-7645. I'm not sure what was wrong with our phones, but now's the time to give us a shout, 877-300-7645. Let's go to Jan in Santa Cruz. What's up, Jan? Welcome to the Bright Side.
Hi, Ben. First of all, let me tell you, I take a lot of vitamins.
Okay.
And I have hay fever.
Okay, now when you say you take a lot of vitamins, now are you using the word vitamins as a synonym for supplements, or do you literally mean vitamins? Because there's only about 8 vitamins. There's the B vitamins, vitamin C, there's vitamins D, E, A, and K, and that's pretty much it.
I take all of those.
Okay.
Plus I take minerals, omega, NAC, potassium. I take it all.
Okay, so you don't mean you take a lot of vitamins, you mean you take a lot of supplements.
Well, yeah.
Okay, good. That's important because a lot of times we use those terms interchangeably, and they're not. Supplements can cover probiotics, they can cover minerals and herbs, etc. But vitamins are specific, and as I say, there's 6 to 8, maybe a few more, depending on how you classify them. But there's just a small amount of them. Anyway, what's your question, Jan?
I take a lot of supplements.
Okay, good. What's going on after now?
I have hay fever.
Okay.
And
even now, even in the winter?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And I'm experiencing burning and a soreness on my tongue.
Okay.
And I read in my medical book that you can get that with hay fever. And I was wondering if you ever heard of that.
I haven't heard of that specifically, but any kind of tongue issues, swelling tongue, pain in the tongue, usually is indicative of a nutritional deficiency. And hay fever most certainly is an immune system problem. So even if you're taking supplements, you may not be either taking them correctly, or you may not be taking enough of the right kinds, or you may not be absorbing them. And they're all possibilities, but guaranteed you have something that's missing. Whether you're taking them or not, something's missing. So here's the deal with hay fever, and this is something that we don't often make a connection with. Hay fever is a sign that the immune system has gone awry. There's something, the immune system has been sensitized, and it's not as robust as it should be. That usually means that there's a load on the body, on the immune system. We call it environmental load or immune system load. That's a term that Dr. Sherry Rogers uses. And by the way, you should start reading the book Tired or Toxic if you can find it. It may be out of print. But if you can find the book Tired or Toxic by Dr. Sherry Rogers, it is an amazing, comprehensive manual for dealing with all immune system issues, including hay fever. So here's what you need to do. You got to number one, strengthen the immune system. The bulk of your immune system is located in your digestive tract, in the intestine. The bulk of your immune system is located in the where you have all those good bacteria located, the microbiome it's called. So first and foremost, we got to get that good bacteria, microbiome, probiotic population beefed up inside the gut. Get yourself on the Biolumin Nightly Essence if you're not already on it. Are you using that yet?
No.
Get on it.
I do take probiotics.
Well, get on the Biolumin Nightly Essence. It's the best one going. Here's the thing with probiotics, supplements that you buy in health food stores. They're not all created equally. Some are really darn cheap, especially the ones you see advertised on TV and the ones you get at the cheapo generic grocery drugstores. I'm not going to mention their names.
I go to a reputable
health food store?
Food store, a small family business.
Good deal, good deal.
Felton, so.
Awesome. Which one are you?
All the Now vitamins.
Which probiotic are you using, Jan? Do you know the name of it?
It's called Flora.
Okay, I don't know what that one is, but here's what you're going to look for, okay? Look for multiple strains of bacteria, 10 or 12 strains, that's different types of bacteria, and look for large concentrations, large amounts of bacteria, maybe 20 billion units, and you want to take about 4 or 5 of those a day. I'll give you about 100 billion units a day. That's the first thing you want to do. And the second thing you want to do is if you notice that you have any kinds of digestive health issues, bloating, gas, or any kinds of bowel movement issues, heartburn, etc., link those symptoms to specific foods and then eliminate those foods. A couple more things I'll tell you about. Hang tight, Jan. Now we got a full board. Try to get to all our callers when we come back. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back after this. All right, we are back on the bright side. I'm going to try to get to everybody here today. Jan, I'm going to go real fast here, okay? Here's the key, my dear. We want to simplify everything. That's what really the bright side is about. That's what this nutritional philosophy, this health philosophy, it's about. It's about simplification, okay? The immune system is the defense system. The hay fever is a sign that the defense system has been activated. What do you got to do? You got to strengthen the defense system. Number one, by removing any burdens on the defense system, and that means food. You're going to need to look for problem foods. You're also going to need to make your your digestive system more robust, because that's where most of your defenses are located. Number one, get on the best probiotic you could find. If you like the one you're using, that's fine. Make sure you're getting 100 billion units a day, and then multiple strains of bacteria. You also might want to. Okay, let me finish, ma'am. Okay. You might also want to use some Z-radical or fucoidan Z, which helps strengthen the digestive lining. And you might also want to get yourself on something called glutamine powder, about 5 grams, which is a teaspoon of it. Put it in water and drink it down a day. Drink a glass of water with a teaspoon of glutamine powder in there a day. You also might want to think about fermented foods, and you also might want to think about bone soup, which contains cartilage factors that help build up the digestive tract. You notice I'm not even talking about your lungs or your respiratory system. I'm talking about the immune system here.
Right.
And then a couple more things that you might want to try are the glucogel caps. Glucosamine helps strengthen the digestive tract lining. And then a couple of nutrients that are very important for strengthening the immune system. 3, in fact. Number 1, vitamin C, which sounds like you're already taking, but you might want to take higher doses, anywhere from 3 or 4 up to 5 or 10 grams a day in divided doses. You don't want to get any gastric, any bloating or discomfort. Sometimes people get a little diarrhea or loose stools or gas or something, so you don't want to be careful of that. 50 milligrams of zinc picolinate a day, very important for the immune system. And then building glutathione, which is the body's primary detoxifying substance, using NAC or NAC, 500 milligrams a day in combination with the ultimate selenium, 200 to 400 micrograms a day, and then also glutamine powder, and you might want to throw in some MSM sulfur, which is really neat for the immune system and the defense system, maybe about 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams a day. So focus on immunity, focus on digestion, building the digestive system up, and then throw in some of those immune-boosting nutrients as well. Lots of things you could do there. Jan, thanks for your call. Will you call back and let us? I'd like to hear how you're doing. You can call back or shoot me an email, ben@ksco.com. Thanks so much, ma'am. God bless. Bye, Jan. All right, let's see. Let's go to Jason in California. Welcome, Jason. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Going good. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. Hey, I was wondering if there was any correlation between energy drinks and gout.
Could be. Gout is a sugar issue. Number one, first and foremost, gout needs to be considered a sugar issue, especially fructose, and energy drinks are notorious for containing lots of sugar. You know why energy drinks contain lots of sugar? It's because the stuff that gives you energy, usually it's something like caffeine, or maybe they'll use an herb like guarana, or some other kind of herbal stimulant, caffeine or guarana or whatever they're using. They taste like crap. Really bad. Caffeine is one of the most wicked tasting substances you could ever use. I actually made an energy substance. I was formulating an energy substance for bike racers about 25 years ago, before Red Bull. And I had a heck of a time trying to figure out how to make that caffeine taste good. The bike racers were using it anyway. But I spent, months trying to figure out how to make caffeine taste good. I never could figure it out. And then, lo and behold, about a year or two later, Red Bull came out, and they figured it out by using lots of sugar. And so, yes, indeed, energy drinks can cause gout. It's not only the sugar. Caffeine can also stimulate gout, too. But if you have a problem with gout, you want to consider it a pre-diabetic issue. It could also have something to do with the digestive system. Usually diabetic blood sugar issues do have a digestive component. But for gout, first and foremost, think about how you're metabolizing sugar, and think about reducing your intake of sugar, especially fructose. Fruit sugar is notoriously linked to gout. So yes, to answer your question, energy drinks can be linked to gout, but not because of the energy part, but because of the sugar part, mostly. Okay?
Yeah, well, I've been doing a lot of juicing. Is that
same? If it's fruit juice, that's real. Fruits contain obviously some good things in them, but they're bred today to be super sweet. They're genetically modified. And I'm not talking about necessarily high-tech genetic modification, but just by selective breeding. Over the last couple hundred, maybe even 1,000 years or so, we've selectively bred fruit to be super sweet. These days, they're genetically modified with high-tech mechanisms to be super sweet. But when you juice them, then they become ultra super sweet because you lose the fiber. And the fiber has a slowing down effect on the sugar, but when you juice, you lose that fiber. And then, yes, indeed, fruit juices can absolutely 100% be associated with gout, especially if they're processed and they're not fresh fruit juices. They're like the kind you buy in the grocery store. Those are really, those have very little health benefit. But even a fresh fruit juice, it'll have a little bit of health benefit, certainly, because fruits have some nutrients in them. But most of the nutrients in a fruit are located in the peel. So unless you're juicing the peel and in juicing the rind, which is where all the good stuff is, there's some good stuff in the pulpy matter too. But for the most part, the good stuff is in the peel and in the rind. You're definitely going to get a big hit of sugar, and that can absolutely cause gout.
Right? Well, I've been doing this after the fact. I've been doing carrot and apple, carrot and beet, and watermelon.
That's a swamp of sugar, man. That is a big hit of sugar. Carrot, beet, watermelon. Not that they don't have good things in them. I'm not ripping on carrots and beets and watermelon. Watermelon in particular has got something neat in it called citrulline, which we're going to be talking about next week. But the sugar load is just too intense, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
All right, good to talk to you, Jason. I'm going to let you go now. Okay, buddy? Have a good day. Have a good day. All right, Chris in Iowa. What's up, man? Welcome to the bright side.
Hi. Yeah, I got a friend of mine to start taking the tangy tangerine, and then I got him on the whole Healthy Start pack about a year and a half ago, and he lost about 160 pounds.
Are you kidding me?
No, he was like 520 or something.
Holy moly! He was
pretty bad. He had discoloration coming up his right leg.
How old was he?
31, 32.
And he was a 500-pounder?
Yeah, I mean, he since we were younger, he was 6'9" and
oh my goodness,
he was a refrigerator-wide football player.
That's amazing. But he lost 160 pounds using youngevity.
Well, he was originally all the way up to about a 380. Said when he got out of college for football, and he'd been living on basically like 100-year-old diet because his parents were just outside of town and mostly garden fed. Had their own chickens and stuff like that. Well, as soon as he moved out, basically that's when he started going off the deep end, basically.
He was eating the same way, but he was eating different types of food. Probably it wasn't the garden food.
It wasn't food that was worth it. So he just basically blew up like a balloon, and it took like we got it on paper too because where he started a job where they did a health risk assessment right when he started working there, which was maybe like a week into taking the tangy tangerine, and then at the year mark where they did it again, that's where we know it's 168 pounds or something like that. Just on a tangy tangerine. But he told me he was going sometimes only drinking tangy tangerine for like 3 or 4 days straight.
And he was fine, and he didn't keel over. Obviously, that's awesome.
I do it too. I'll basically every day. I'll eat like maybe one time a day, a late supper meal. I'll go to sleep, get up in the morning, and sip tangy tangerine all day, and I'm not hungry.
You're not even hungry, right? That's so cool.
That's so cool. A lot of people, it's like, just stop eating for a couple days. And they look at me funny. I'm like, have you done it? And they're like, no. Well, then what do you know about it?
Isn't that interesting? People have opinions, but they don't know why they have their opinions. They just have their opinions.
I call it preconceived notions from television,
Yeah, that's right.
You're like, what do you know about it? You watched it on a TV show where they just set a whole bunch of things up and recorded it just in time to cut to a commercial and try to sell you something.
I know. It's so important to be open-minded about these things. Healthy skepticism, I'm a scientist, and healthy skepticism is very, very important. But keeping your mind open, if you want to be maximally healthy or maximally successful in any endeavor or maximally successful in life, it is so important to keep an open mind, to accumulate as much data as you can, and then test your data. Come up with a hypothesis, a theory, a concept, accumulate data, and test it. These preconceived cognitive commitments, or as you say, Chris, preconceived notions that we get from media, from TV, from our parents, from our society, from our culture, they're belief systems that don't serve us necessarily. For the most part, they don't serve us. They call them memes. You ever hear the term memes?
Oh,
M-E-M-E? These are memes. These are viral belief systems that are implanted in us that we need to be inoculated against. And these memes are information memes. This is what an info war is really all about. By the way, I'm going to be on InfoWars today for you guys who are listening to Alex Jones. I'll be on the show, on Alex's show later on today. Thanks for your call, Chris. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, sorry if we left you on hold. Once again, you guys got to call in early. I'm telling you, you got to call in early so we can get to as many calls as possible. So I apologize. Tried to get to everybody today, but it just didn't happen. All right, let's see. If you're in the Minnesota area, love to see you on Monday for a free health seminar at the Faith Tabernacle Gospel Fellowship International Church, 2025, 4th Street North in Minneapolis, 5:30 p.m. registration. Call Clinton Scott, 763-221-8432 for more information or to RSVP. Thanks for listening, folks. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Have yourselves a wonderful, spectacular, beautiful day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.